Hello and welcome again to our reading of John's Gospel. I'm going to read chapter 19. This is the crucifixion and death of Jesus. Tote un elaben ho Pilatos ton Iesun kai emastigesen. So at that time Pilate then took Jesus and had him whipped from mastigoo. He himself, it is literally whipped him, but it's Pilate wouldn't have done the whipping. He would have got soldiers to do it, so we can translate it as had him whipped. And the soldiers, plexantes from pleco, having plaited, having intertwined, having twisted a Stephanos, a crown, ex acanthone of thorns, epithecan, they placed it on his head, and per ebalon they threw about him, they cast about him a himation, a robe, which was porphyroon. This is a contracted adjective, so it's porphyros, and it contracts in the accusative, so a purple garment. Imperfect from Erchomai, so they were coming up to him, and they were saying, "Hail, the King of the Jews." And literally, this is the imperfect here from Didomi. They were giving rapismata, blows to him. So they were striking him. And Pilate again went outside and says to them, "Behold, I bring him to you outside." So I bring him out to you in order that, gnote from gnosko, you might know that I find no aitian. This means blame, or it's more of a technical legal term of I find no fault, I find nothing worthy of accusing him of. So I find no blame or fault in him. Jesus then came out, phoron, participle from phoreo, wearing the purple crown and wearing the crown of thorns. This is now an adjective, akanthinos, wearing the thorned crown, or the thorny crown, and the purple himation garment. And he says to them, and here's this famous phrase that idu ho anthropos, which becomes in Latin ecce homo, behold the man. When then the chief priests and the huperete, their underlings, their servants, saw him, kraugasan, they cried out, saying, and we get this imperative here, crucify, crucify. Pilate says to them, take him, and you lot crucify him. For I do not find in him aitian any blame or any fault. The Jews answered him, we have a law, and according to the law he ought apotanein to die, hoti, because he made himself a son of God. When then Pilate heard this word, this account, malon ephobethe, he was frightened all the more, and he entered into the praetorium again, and he says to Jesus, from whence are you? And Jesus did not give an apocrisy, an answer auto to him. Pilate then says to him, you do not speak to me, question. Do you not know that I have authority apolusi to release you, and I have exousian authority to crucify you? Jesus answered him, you do not have authority, kat emu, against me. You do not have any authority. Double negatives in Greek don't cancel. It's literally, you do not have no authority, but you do not have any authority against me, ame, except it were de dominon. This is this periphrastic use of the verb to be plus the past passive participle here, perfect passive participle, unless it were having been given, unless it were given to you, anothen, from above. Diatuto, therefore, on account of this, the one handing me over to you has the greater sin. Comparative here, maidzone. After this, or perhaps as a result of this, Pilate, etsete, was seeking apollusaiauton to release him. But the Jews were called out, saying, if you release this man, you are not philos, a friend of Caesar. Everyone making himself basileia a king, anti-lege, speaks against Caesar. Pilate, therefore, having heard these words, he led Jesus outside, and he placed him on the Bermatos, this is the judgment seat, in the place which is called Lithostroton. This is from lithos, a stone, and this is from this verb stornumi or stronumi, to scatter. So it's a place of scattering of stones, or generally often translated the pavement, and in Hebrew, Gabbatha. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and it was about the 6th hour. And he says to the Jews, behold your king. They cried out, Aaron, Aaron. These are imperatives from Iro. Away, away with him, crucify him. Iro has the sense of, has many range of meanings, lift or carry, but here it's just take him away, crucify him. Pilate says to them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, we do not have a king except for Caesar. At that time then he handed him over autos to them, in order that he, that is Jesus, might be crucified. You get the aorist passive subjunctive there. Therefore they took Jesus, and him carrying the cross, hiauto, for himself, he went out to the place, to that which is called the Kraniotopon, literally the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew, which is said in Hebrew, Golgotha, where estarosan, they crucified him, and with him 2 others, here and here, with Jesus in the middle. And Pilate wrote also a titlon. Well, this is a notice. They would put up notices on the crosses of those being crucified to tell them for what reason they were being crucified. So this is this titlon. Pilate wrote a notice and placed it on the cross, and it was having been written. So the following was written: Jesus the Nazarene, the King of the Jews. Many read from Anna Ginosko, so many of the Jews read then this notice, because the place was near, and Engus takes genitive, it was near the city. So the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city. and it was written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. The chief priests of the Jews then were saying to Pilate, "Do not write, the King of the Jews, but that this man said, I am a king of the Jews." And Pilate answered, Hoc gegrapha gegrapha, the Latin quod scripsi scripsi. That which I have written, I have written. Another famous saying. Hoi un, the soldiers then, when they crucified Jesus, they took his garments and they made 4 divisions, a division for each soldier. And there was the chiton, the outer garment. Now this chiton, this outer garment, was araphos. This is alpha privative plus the rapto. We get our word rhapsode, in fact, from this. Rapto is to stitch. So it was unstitched. It wasn't put together from different other pieces of material. It was ectone anothen, so from one side to the other, diholu, completely, huphantos, it was woven. This is from hufino. It's an adjective. So it was woven from top to bottom completely. They then said to one another, let us not tear it, from skizdo, but Lachomen is from Lankano. Lankano it's with one. It's like lambano in some ways. You've got the nasal infix and the present, and there's the root lac there. It's to in this sense, is to cast a lot for. So this is the hortatory subjunctive. Let us cast a lot regarding it, of whom it will be. So let us cast a lot in regard for whose it might be, in order that the scripture might be fulfilled, which says, they divided up my garments among themselves, and they cast Claron a lot in regard to my hemation, my clothing. The soldiers then did these things, and Hester Kesan, the mother of Jesus, his mother and the sister of his mother, and Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene, they stood beside the cross of Jesus. So there stood beside the cross of Jesus his mother, the sister of his mother, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. And Jesus then, having seen his mother, and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he says to the mother, Gunai, a woman, behold your son. And then he says to the disciple, behold your mother. And from that hour, the disciple took her as Taidia, well, among his own things, so back to his own house. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things had been fulfilled, in order that the scriptures might be fulfilled, this is this teleo verb, he says, dipso from dipsao, a contract verb, I thirst, and skuos, a very vague word, just means a vessel, ekata was laid, meston full oxus, this is a genitive from oxos, it's a third declension neuter, so this is the genitive form. It's full of oxos, full of vinegar. And it's a sponge meston full of vinegar. So they having placed around a sponge full of vinegar, husopo on a hyssop, which is just a spike, they brought it to his mouth. And when then Jesus took the vinegar, he said, Tetelestai, it has been completed. And having inclined his head, having bowed his head, he gave up top pneuma the spirit. The Jews then, since it was the Passover, in order that the bodies might not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for it was the great day of that Sabbath, they asked Pilate, in order that kat iagosin is from kat agnumi. It's to break. Agnumi is an old root to break. This is kat agnumi. It's an irregular verb. So it's one of the few me verbs in the New Testament, kat agnumi. So they asked Pilate in order that they might break the legs of them and they might be taken down. This is the aorist passive subjunctive from airo. So it's literally to lift, but it's in the sense of lift them off and take them down. The soldiers came and they broke the legs. There's that same verb, kat iaksin from kat agnumi. They broke the legs of the first and of the second, the one being crucified with. The su for sun, so the one being crucified with him takes a dative. And having come to Jesus, when they saw him already having died, they did not break his legs, but one of the soldiers, now this nuxen is from nuso, to stab, but they stabbed his thigh, his pluran, lonke, with a lance. A lonke is first declension feminine, is a word for a lance or spear. And immediately there came out blood and water. And the one having seen has borne witness, and his witness is true. And he knows that he speaks the truth, in order that you also might believe. For these things took place, egeneto, hina, in order that the scripture might be fulfilled. Ostun, they will not. Sorry, no, that's the subject here. A bone of him will not be broken. A bone of him will not be broken. And again, another scripture says, they will look upon the one whom they pierced, from ek kentao. They will look upon the one whom they pierced. After these things, Joseph, the one from Arimathea, asked Pilate, he being a disciple of Jesus, kekruminos from krupto, literally being hidden, so secretly, on account of the fear of the Jews. So he asked him that he might take the body of Jesus. And Pilate, this is from Epi Trepo, allowed him, gave permission. He went then and he took his body, and Nicodemus, the one having come to him, that is Jesus, nuktos, by night, to proton at first, he came, pheron participle, bringing migma, a mixture, connected with mignumi is the verb, this is a migma, a mixture of smernes, of, well, it's unguents or ointments, and aloes, about £100, whatever that turns into modern equivalent of. You'll have to look up the commentary. And therefore they took the body of Jesus and they bound it from deo orthonios. This is with wrappings, with sheets or something from orthonios, or this is the dative here, with linen wrappings, along with the aromatone. These are the things they brought, the smyrnace and the aloes and things, along with the herbs and spices, just as is the custom for the Jews in Taphiasdain to put in a tomb. So just as it is the custom for the Jews to put someone in a tomb. And there was in the place where he was crucified a kerpos, a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which Oedipo not yet had anybody, had been laid. This is it's a pluperfect periphrastic construction here with the verb to be, and this is the perfect participle from tithemi. So, in which nobody had ever been laid. And there, on account of the Passover of the preparation of the Jews, the Paraskeue, they placed Jesus hoti because the tomb was near. So there, then, because the tomb was near, they placed Jesus on account of the preparation of the Jews. And that is the end of chapter 19.